Hello. Welcome guys back to the channel. This is Maverick here with episode 8 of Spectre. So, hopefully in this episode we will finally get to the end of the Steel Lady Nanase arc. Beyond that, we also have, I guess, a little bit foreshadowing of things to come with this particular Rika character who has some sort of relationship with Kuro. Well, actually, I think it's mentioned that she's his cousin. Right, and probably also the little girl that we saw in the flashback of Kuro a long time ago. I think she's behind all this. Well, she's definitely behind some of this stuff, right? But that's for another time, right? That's probably going to be explored after this arc. Right now, what I'm really interested in is how or what exactly is the method they are going to use to sort of dissipate this particular rumor and this particular apparition, right? Especially considering that the title of this series is, well, the original Japanese title, anyways, is Kyoko Sweetie, which means, contrived deduction or contrived theory crafting, right? Which works very well into what they're trying to do here, which is trying to make up some other kind of story, but have it be logical and believable at the same time. So, without further ado, let's get into the episode. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Ooh, it's like a skeleton. Hmm. Run! Something like that. Well, aren't you perspective? Actually, because she has the same abilities as Kuro. Okay. I mean, Saki doesn't actually know how Kuro's abilities came about, right? She doesn't know the particulars, I don't think. So maybe she just thinks it's a family thing. But then again, with like 4 episodes left, considering that even if they are going to be able to finish the arc or story of Nanase in this episode, they got like what 3 episodes left. So I highly doubt they can resolve anything with this Rika character. Okay. 'Don't worry, it's nothing to do with you.I mean, I could. Then again, girl, if the two of you, I mean, if the two of you are so easily separated, that's because of 1.5 hours. Oh wait, so she does now. Huh. Really? If they were actually studying her, though. Did she actually come here of her own accord? Looks like a zombie. Huh. So when she said mansion, she really wasn't kidding here. That's the detective to you? About that. What? Is she pulling her leg now? Okay. She's definitely pulling his leg. Right, so that's definitely. Why do you know as well? How does Saki know about that? I don't get it. How does Saki know that Rika is behind this? How much does she know? Hmm. So you guys knew that she was such a dangerous person, yet still allowed her to do it, and... Hmm. Yeah, so she's the administrator of the Matome site. So, what's the purpose again? Just testing the limits of her powers? So she's gonna kill herself again? But if she can see the... If both can... How does that work, though? If they're both moving to change the future? Forum.
いるのでしょう。サイトを管理しているのがリッカさんなら、あなたの書き込みを削除したり制限したりできるんじゃない？リッカさんはしませんよ。亡霊の存在を疑う書き込みを削除制限すれば、サイト管理側にとってそれが都合の悪い書き込みという印象を与えます。本当はいないから削除や制限をしていると取られかねません。そういう流れが生まれるのは、後人七世を実体化させたい側にとってはマイナスです。だからどんな書き込みも野放しにするしかない。なるほど。あなたは解決を4つも組み上げたって言ったけど、
Looks like we aren't going to be concluding it for this episode.
打ってこそ嘘が真実を砕き、新たな真実と変わることもあるんです。これから後人七世まとめサイトで行われるのは、議会、理事会、評議会といったもので提案された議案の賛否を決めるのと似ているかもしれません。ここで議題とされるのは、後人七世という亡霊が本当にいるかいないか。リッカさんはすでに多数派工作を終え、いると説明するデータと論拠もたっぷりと揃えています。それをいかに覆し、議案を可決させないか、そこが私の腕の見せ所です。多数派工作が終わってるなら、逆転はほぼ不可能なんじゃない？はい。これがまともな議会や理事会なら、議決権を持つ人たちは横のつながりがあり、土壇場で逆の意見を表明するのはリスクが多すぎます。でもこの議会で議決権を持つのは、このサイトを見る者すべて、
Annals.
そうほとんど関係ない人たちがどう思うかがすべてです。無責任で自覚もない決定者たちか。それはそれで怖いわね。その通り。しかし言い換えてみれば、この議会は無責任ゆえに、いかなるしがらみ、法にも正義にも真実にもとらわれません。たとえ結論が不正義であり、嘘であっても、何万というサイト閲覧者の過半数を支持すれば勝ちです。
I gotta say, I feel like
そして面白い物語を
this, I feel like this series would much better suit its original light novel format
何でもありです。本物のデータを隠してごまかし、苦労しろと言いくるめ、
than in anime format.
繰り広げ、それでもそこに一見の合理と十分な優越を通すなら、虚構を真実に変えられる。そうしても構わない場所です。勝つために惜しむものはありません。全力をもって嘘をつきましょう。
So it's essentially an online debate, right? Because you've got to believe that Rika will probably also. Did he just like let his arm break? But you know, that's gotta hurt. All right, see you guys after this. Okay, so episode 8. This definitely did not go the way that I was thinking, particularly in regards to the backstory or the character setting of Rika. Right now, originally I was thinking she's gonna be this ominous character, who's really the big baddie of the story or whatnot. But as we can see from how Kodako described it, she's just she's not nearly as evil or ominous or whatnot as I originally perceived her to be. She doesn't even seem like the real final boss of these events in any whatever way, right? So that definitely was a lot more different from I was expecting, and probably from what Saki was expecting as well. I guess this might also play into some of this. Hey, we as the viewers are also only just human, right? Just normal people without any special powers. So Saki is supposed to be representative of what we as the viewers feel and relate to, I guess you could say. So I wonder if that's what the author is trying to push there in that essence as well. I definitely wasn't expecting Rika to be this sort of, the kind of character that you would also, make fun, joke around with, and etc. etc. But I guess that's just the reality of, they are actually living in a different world from normal human beings, right? Which actually also brings up another point that in regards to Kotoko, right? If you really do think about it, she is more on the spiritual apparition slash monster side than she is on the human side. She's literally their goddess. She's supposed to help them instead, and not humans, right? Of course, she would still go to protect humans, but I think the ultimate goal of that isn't necessarily out of any benevolence, or great justice or whatnot, out of preserving humanity, but perhaps because avoiding this conflict would be the best for the apparitions, monsters, creatures as a whole, right? So that's. I don't think we're really going to get into that kind of discussion anytime soon, but that is something to think about, I guess. Um, in regards to the actual others parts of the stories, Nanase, I was expecting them to actually start weaving the story, if you will, in this episode, but apparently we're gonna have to wait until the next one. Um, I mentioned in the episode how I feel like this is something that fits the original format a lot better, right? The original well, actually, I don't think it was a light novel. I think it was a manga. But anyways, something with text there, right? And the reason for this is because I feel like there's a lot of quotable dialogue in this. Um, especially in the way that Kotoko describes a lot of stuff. She's supposed to be this character of wisdom, right? And normally you would have these words of wisdom, these little nuggets of truth and whatnot that very accurately describe the state of something in particular, or it's just wise words, right? And you could definitely apply it to this situation as well. If you really a lot of these things are like this, right? Either light novels or manga as well, particularly of this kind of genre. It might be a particular quote that feels very cool or very insightful at first glance, but then if you dig deep into it, it doesn't really have that much. It's not like a very deep quote or anything. I feel like this also it's also sort of in the same area as well. Like Kotoko speaks a lot of stuff, and she has a lot of dialogue that sounds cool on the surface, but of course, at the end of it, if you really analyze what she's saying, it's not anything. It's not like a particular amazing revelation or whatnot, right? It's quite basic if you think about it, but it's just packaged in a way that it seems cool, and I feel like that's how it is here. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not slanting it because of this, but that's just the way that these things usually are. I mean, there's very few cases where you can have a character in a fictional universe say something very profound, especially in this case where the target audience is clearly aimed at at more youthful people, right? um and to have it be something that's so profound that it's not being said in somewhere else or whatnot. I mean, you guys know what I mean. But that still doesn't change the fact that I feel like a format where you have the dialogue on paper and then you can read it directly would probably suit it a lot more. It would carry a lot more impact than what she is saying here. That's just my thought on it, anyways. And speaking of the sort of profoundness or deepness to it, like I said, I don't want to really praise it too much for this. I mean, you could argue if it's deep or not. I'm not going to get into that argument. I will say, however, that it's probably going to touch on some stuff that is, in a way, quite relevant to our modern world as well. Particularly in this case, I feel like it's interesting because she's clearly trying to go against the majority opinion here, and in fact going against the truth here by spinning tales and entertaining tales, as she has said, in order to sort of turn the tide, right? I feel like this is a perfect example of real world situations where the vocal minority is actually causes an impact on the majority, the silent majority, if you will, and it changes things up, right? This is especially prevalent in social media nowadays. how these vocal few are able to change the opinion of many others, and in fact more of many of the, I guess you could call them, casual bystanders, and even though they might be, initially at least, very slim in their numbers, right? You see this all the time in social media, right? Most people aren't going to be posting or actively arguing or debating points back and forth, and that would be the same on this Matome site as well. Sure, it has a forum, it has an anonymous forum where people can go and post stuff without any fear of repercussion or whatnot, but even so, I would venture that less than, I'd say maybe less than 5% of all users or people who go to that site would be one who actually posts something, right? That's just the way that these things usually are, and I would even guess that the number would be way less than that. So the majority might be people who are, they don't really have any specific opinion, right? They're just there to read up some information, and that is that. Now, how a vocal minority might be able to change it would be to actually flood their ideas, make a big impact on others, and then even though they might not be representative of the majority of opinions, you do that enough, and then people's opinions will shift. They would be like, hey, so is this perhaps what the majority is actually talking about? If everybody believes in this way, probably that is the truth, right? Even though, because it's imperfect, right? You're not able to directly communicate with others on their opinions or whatnot. You're just simply looking at what seems to be the general opinion of those that are posting, and that changes your own opinion as well, right? Like I said, it's not a particular deep or profound concept or anything, but I do find it to be a nice little parallel to this this age of information and false information and social media as a whole. It's quite, I guess you could also say it's insightful in a certain way, right? If you weren't particularly aware of this kind of things happening. And so like I said, I'm honestly, out of all the story elements right now, I'm really interested into seeing how she's going to, what kind of story she's gonna think up of, how she logically connects them together, and of course we're gonna have to see her debate Rika as well, because like I said, Rika will most obviously be there on the side of the of I guess in this case the the other side basically, and trying to refute Kotoko's points one by one, trying to break down her argument, so on and so forth, right? So yeah, there we go. That was it for Inspector episode 8. I'm really looking forward to the actual debate and actual points. So I will see you guys next time. Till then, bye bye.